Welcome to The Project. Tonight, cutting through how TikTok is levelling the political playing field for the federal election.
We take a look at the rise of WAGs and chat to one about the seriously sinister side of their glamorous lives.
Plus, the British comic with a theory on just about everything, Nish Kumar, joins us live at the desk.
And the incredible new images showing the Titanic in never-before-seen detail is shining new light on what exactly happened to the doomed ocean liner in its final hours. Now, I'm no expert, but I reckon it hit an iceberg.
Wow!
That's, if I had to go out on a limb, that's what I'm going to back. But stay tuned, who knows?
Spoiler alert if people haven't seen the movie?
I don't know, but who knows? We'll find out.
That's it, guys. We've clocked the news.
Yeah.
We are live from the lands of the Cooler Nation, where it's a big welcome to Alex Lee.
Yeah, it was a nice joke.
Yeah,
it was a nice.
Oh well, you both agree.
Yeah, I'm willing to back you on this.
We're in the same Reddit forum. We've got all this.
All right, let's get into tonight's top stories now. And air crash investigators say a radio antenna fault and limited visibility led to the deadly SeaWorld helicopter tragedy. 4 people were killed and 9 others were injured when 2 tourist choppers collided mid-air on the Gold Coast in 2023. A final report handed down today also found passenger seat belts were incorrectly fitted.
I sincerely hope lessons from this tragic incident will lead to safety improvement in Australia's aviation tourism sector and, importantly, worldwide.
Prince Andrew accuser Virginia Giuffre's family violence court case in Perth has been adjourned. The 41-year-old wasn't required to appear today on a charge of breaching a family violence restraining order. Outside court, her lawyer confirmed she's been discharged from hospital. Today's hearing comes 8 days after she posted on Instagram she was dying of kidney failure.
Is there any update on Ms. Giuffre's health?
No, not at this stage, sorry.
A lot of people have been very concerned about her. Will she release an update soon?
I expect she will.
And some pollies are getting creative on the campaign trail. Independent candidate for the Victorian seat of Monash, Deb Leonard, just dropped this banging rap in a bid to connect with younger voters.
Girl Deb Leonard repping Monash in his post. From Druin to Wonthaggi, Warrigal to the coast. In Lee and Gathering cows, some are struggling most. While major parties in Canberra got caviar on their toast. I'm a mother, I'm a fighter, from Rossa to Real. Housing crisis hits hard, but you know I got the will. And yeah, I know it's kind of mid to hear this white woman rap, but you know what's even worse? Putting up with Canberra's crap.
Yes! Yes!
Good.
Wow.
You know,
Am I alone?
a bit. I mean, I think it is. It's deeply uncool, right? Well, but I think this is truth in politics. I mean, politicians are not cool.
I don't want the truth. I just don't want whatever that's like. I mean, it's crazy. Like you could bring ray gun in and it would make it better, and that's saying something.
No, I've got to say, at first I kind of thought, oh, cringe, ick, and then I went, she's me. Every time I try to sing or dance, that's me.
I would just say 2 things about it. One is I've seen far worse.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone tries to do rap, it tends to go badly unless they are a rapper. But I have seen far worse attempts than that. And secondly, I think she's in on it. And you remember it. Name another independent candidate in a quasi-rural seat.
Yeah, God, my mind is blank.
Wait, name
Jackie
that
Lambie, name a candidate. What is politics is a great question as well.
All right. Now, Aussies, we love our sport, we love our athletes. Seems the same is not quite true for the wives and girlfriends of our sporting icons who increasingly are the victims of brutal online attacks.
If you were around at the time, you'll probably remember that red dress worn by Beck Judd at the 2004 Brownlows.
They have all said you want to see Chris Judd's girlfriend. Now, you are her, are you?
I am her.
Well, look, you look absolutely sensational.
It was the beginning of the WAG era in Australian sport, standing for
Wives and Girlfriends.
The term first gained popularity when it was used to describe the partners of England's squad at the 2006 FIFA World Cup.
With the likes of Victoria Beckham, Cheryl Cole and Colleen Rooney descending on Baden-Baden, there was a media frenzy.
Back home, our own WAG explosion followed. Nadia Bartel, Candice Warner and Pip Edwards among the biggest it girls. Fans enthralled by their glamorous lifestyles. Bartell and Judd earning more than $5,000 per Instagram post.
I want to start my hair with the styling primer.
This Maybelline Superstay Teddy Tint.
And many thousands more from other paid partnerships.
No frizz to my hair. So good. Thanks, Mermaid.
But alongside the riches and celebrity status comes a dark side. The women relentlessly targeted with online hate and harassment, often in the form of intense body shaming.
She's not pretty enough to be with him.
A multi-millionaire, athletic, 6'1" elite footballer, and yet he settles for a fat white girl.
Aren't wags supposed to be pretty?
It's something Paris Tier, the partner of Greater Western Sydney defender Connor Stone, knows all too well.
I went to my GP and asked to go on a weight loss drug that I wasn't even eligible because all I got was comments about my weight, how fat I was.
A campaign of online hate motivating her to speak out against the trolls, despite the fear of further retaliation.
And I just feel like I can't win.
And Paris Tier is here with us now. Paris, just how bad do some of these comments and messages get?
It was horrifying. I was getting death threats. I was getting people sending me links to the Butterfly Foundation saying that my content kills people. I was getting...
and that's an eating disorder charity as well, isn't it? The Butterfly Foundation.
Yeah. When you post a photo on TikTok or a video on TikTok, you get a comment review section. In there, I was seeing 10 to 15 comments a day of people talking about my weight, talking about how my partner was going to leave me, talking about how I shouldn't feel confident to post on social media. And yeah, definitely the comments just kept growing as the weeks went on in the footy season as well.
Paris, how much of a difference is there between when your partner's team is losing versus when they're winning?
I think realistically, there's no difference. I do get a lot of those footy heads in my comments, especially those sports bettors, but it's based on your partner. So that I found myself. I found that, you know, if Connor didn't meet his 20 touches, I'm going to get it in my comments. Or, you know, if Connor's been playing VFL instead of AFL, which he was last season, I was getting comments being like, oh, you're a VFL wag, Connor sucks at footy. More Connor-based comments, where when Connor's playing AFL, it's more comments based on you're not good enough for him, you're ugly, you don't meet the standards kind of aspect.
What a pile-on. Other wives and girlfriends have spoken about the pre-final shred. What is that, and have you gotten involved in that too?
Fortunately enough, I've never done anything like that, but I've certainly heard of it. Essentially, the shred is at the end of the season before like the Brownlow or the BNF, girls will try to lose as much weight as they can because it's very much a media stunt. Like the Brownlow, you get a photo before you go in and within minutes people are posting rating videos and ranking videos of the best dressed females. Even the news does it too. So women prepare all year for that moment. So those quick last weeks to shred, it's really disgusting and it's really upsetting that women even have to do that.
Where does this pressure come from? Is it from the media, from fans? Is it from the club or maybe other wives and girlfriends?
I think that, you know, it's just an expectation that, I like to call it an invisible expectation. It's really despicable and essentially it comes from everywhere, right? Whether it's, you know, other girlfriends, whether it's social media, whether it's news, like they all play such a big aspect in creating these invisible standards.
Paris, it's been illuminating, I think, hearing from you. Let's hope it gets better. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It's time for us to take a break. See you soon.
Well, as parts of America's Midwest cleans up after deadly storms, footage has emerged of one couple's incredibly close call. Check this out. They just hopped into the car to head down to the shops when this happened.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, that is a lightning bolt. It struck just seconds after they got into the vehicle. Slowed down, you can actually see the vision shows millions of volts of electricity shooting under the car and showering the driveway in sparks.
Lucky ducks.
Crazy, huh?
Wow.
Sorry, I've got to get myself ready to
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right, it's time to see what else is making news around the world. A frantic search for survivors continues after a catastrophic roof collapse at a nightclub in the Dominican Republic. Footage from inside the club captured the moment the roof caved in, killing at least 79 people and leaving more than 150 injured. The venue was filled with fans attending the Robbie Perez concert. The popular merengue singer was among the victims, as was a local politician and a former Major League Baseballer. As King Charles and Queen Camilla toured Rome, Prince Harry was back in London to appeal the loss of his personal UK security detail. His police protection was downgraded after he stepped down from royal duties in 2020. Harry's lawyers are claiming the decision was unjustified and that he was, quote, singled out for different and inferior treatment. And as Donald Trump's 104% tariffs on China come into effect, an AI video depicting Americans doing menial factory work is going viral. The obese workers appear depressed and exhausted as they toil away. The TikTok video effectively trolling the president's plan to make America great again.
There we go. Manufacturing is back in America.
Yeah, it's working already, huh? Isn't that amazing? I thought that looked like a cool film. I want to watch it, don't you think?
Yeah, apart from all the arguments about tariffs, it's scary how good AI is becoming.
I know, it's shot
Because
beautifully.
the hands are usually what gives it away, right?
Yes, and a year ago we were laughing. Laughing we were.
But now they've got these pained expressions. And
Yeah.
it's poetry.
The jig's up. We've got to go all in on AI, guys. I love you, AI.
Yeah.
Spare me. Let's stay on tariffs, guys, because Democratic Senator Adam Schiff accused Trump of wrecking the economy. Well, last night the US president, he clapped back, and my man, he always sticks to policy. He never, ever strays from it, as shown here.
Adam Shifty Shifts. Can you believe this guy? He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. And the biggest head. We call him watermelon head. I'd say, how could that big fat face stand on a neck that looked like this finger?
All right, now, OK, it's an outrageous thing to say, I get it. And if you don't know who Adam Schiff is, here he is. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it either. No. Apparently his mum was a watermelon, but yeah, it doesn't check out with me. I don't see it.
All right, it's time for a look at who's making waves in the Aussie music world this week.
Kylie has performed 2 sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And to celebrate, the Empire State Building was lit up in her honour. New mum Jessica Malboy has been on the promo trail to debut her beauty brand. Again! While Adelaide's Cabaret Festival is getting excited for her appearance in June. The Veronicas are Adelaide-bound on tour with the one and only Cyndi Lauper. Tones and I joined the star on stage in Melbourne for a surprise duet as well and scored these words of support.
Keep doing what you're doing, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing.
That's ARIA Amplified.
Are we on? Are we back? We're back. Guys, the world is a big place, as we all know. Not as big as Trump says Adam Schiff's head is, but it is still pretty massive, and I've watched it all from all over the globe to bring you the best bits. Let's go. First up, a very frightening report about a former world leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's some breaking news. Boris Johnson has been attacked by an ostrich.
Oh my God, it finally happened. Oh no, OK, let's see the attack. Oh God. Hey, hang on, good on me, huh? That's payback for Brexit, Boris, huh? Someone telling you to get out of their country. Now let's go to the US for some sports.
Earlier this week, we told you how the entire Rio Rancho High School JV baseball team was suspended after one of their players allegedly urinated in the La Cueva team's water jug during a game. Several players and coaches from La Cueva then drank the water from the jug.
And that is the story of how Gatorade was invented. But look, give it a go. There's plenty of electrolytes in there. Let's head north of the border because the Canadians, they sound like real loose units.
If you're missing a snare drum or somehow maybe even your grandparents, you can check your Uber. Those are just some of the things that riders left behind last year.
What? Grandparents? I mean, I get grandparents, but who forgets a snare drum? Crazy. Those things are valuable. The whole tariff thing, it's very confusing. I've been struggling with it, so thank God this Republican senator finally explained it in a way that we could all understand.
What do you think? What's the future hold?
Tariffs are like whiskey.
Okay.
A little whiskey under the right circumstances can be refreshing.
True.
Too much whiskey under the wrong circumstances, and you end up drunk as a goat.
I mean, I get it now. So that means a tariff is a duty imposed by a national government, territory or union on imports or goods. Thanks, weird Republican senator.
Have you ever seen a drunk goat?
A drunk goat? Yeah, I've got a farming background. I don't know what that means. Guys, but I mean, it sounds pretty crazy, these tariffs. How bad can the US economy really be?
Well, with egg prices still very high, you could end up needing a replacement for your Easter eggs. Some people already coming up with creative ideas. Some are using potatoes instead of eggs. You can color them with food dye.
I mean, it's not really giving Easter, much more Eastern Bloc 1984. Finally to France, where this bloke made one hell of an entrance.
Chaotic scenes ahead of a rugby match in France.
A parachutist on his way to deliver the match ball misjudged the descent into the stadium.
And he's got the match ball left hanging around for about half an hour before eventually being freed by firefighters.
Yeah, and people weren't happy. The authorities took him in. Apparently the skydiver was...
drunk as a goat.
Yeah, and that's what happened. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, what a place to watch the match.
I mean, the best
Great
seats in the
seats.
house. Absolutely.
Yeah, as long as the ball gets... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Still ahead, Wake and Scroll. We take a look at how TikTok is shaping the playing field for younger voters when it comes to the federal election. You're watching the progress.
Let's get some more news now, and it's been a rough 24 hours for Peter Dutton on the family front. But he says his dad, Bruce, is doing okay after the 80-year-old suffered a heart attack last night. Today, the opposition leader finally released the modelling behind his promise to cut energy prices by keeping Aussie gas onshore.
We want Australian gas for Australians first, and if we do that, we can bring the cost of groceries down. We can bring down the cost of electricity. This is going to have economy-wide benefits.
Meanwhile, Labor has promised another $150 in energy bill relief, extending the rebate until the end of the year.
Today, Albo visited Sydney's new Hay Street markets, where he found out that hitting the campaign trail on an empty stomach, guys, it's very hard.
I got to say, I didn't have dinner last night. Oh, yeah. Breaking it off. What are you knocking up?
So we're making some pizzas.
Yeah.
It's called Altario style pizza, made out of 6 different kinds of grain, which makes it much healthier and much easier to digest.
Yeah, very good.
So it's made over 100 hours.
Bit hungry.
And then
look
it's
at
make it very fluffy and very crispy on the bottom.
Oh, poor Albo is not eating. It's not good enough. That's how bad the cost of living crisis is. My man, the Prime Minister can't even get a full stomach.
Is he doing keto?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He looks great.
Hey, you're probably not alone if you didn't watch Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton go head-to-head in the first election debate last night. But you know who might have? Your teenager, who never stops scrolling on their phone.
There'll be no deals with the Greens by me. If you ask me, do you rule out governing in coalition with the Greens? The answer to that is no.
This is the content hordes of young people woke up to on their feed this morning.
The only gas policy that the coalition have is the gaslighting of the Australian public.
Gaslighter, denier.
Because this year's election, the first where the Gen Zs and millennials outnumber boomers at the ballot box, is also shaping up to be the first where TikTok could affect the result.
Albo 8. We are with you, Mr. Dutton.
Slay, Albo. Dutto 2025.
We have both sides of politics absolutely trying to reach young people on TikTok. When we look at the Liberal Party's TikTok, they are really leaning into things like brain rot. They're talking about memes lots. Over on the Labor side, we have obviously seen them engage with influencers and new media.
Labor dropping sexy Medicare thirst traps.
That smile on your face makes it easy.
Authorised P. Erickson, ALP Canberra.
As the Greens opt for sassy explainers.
How much do you really know about Peter Dutton? I'm going to run through the reasons not to vote for him this election. We'll see how many we can fit into one video, but we might need to make this a series.
And the Libs upload whatever this is.
Authorised by AHurst Liberal Canberra.
Our Gen X and Boomer Polly's desperately doing whatever it takes to be down with the kids. And it's working. In the lead up to the election, Anthony Albanese's TikTok followers have almost tripled. Peter Dutton, who started stronger, has also seen significant growth. Both leaders amassing upwards of 400,000 likes across their posts.
People are attracted to it, they're engaged, and politicians across the board need to understand that it is vital for them to speak across and not down to young people at this election.
As bizarre as it all seems, TikTok actually presents the most level playing field of all the social media platforms, because it prohibits paid political advertising.
That native organic content just does better. It performs better. We understand people who are on TikTok don't want to see the polished, very, uptight type of messaging.
So will likes and views actually equate to votes? Or will young voters just scroll on through to the next shiny thing? Ooh, Elton.
Well, Holly McAlpine is an influencer supporting the Greens with TikToks like this.
I know I've got a big ego. I really don't know why it's such a big deal, though.
Holly joins us now, and Holly, your videos, they make people like me feel kind of old. Because I am. Talk us through it. How do you decide what to post?
Yeah, no, look, it is definitely geared towards quite a young demographic. It's generally people 18 to 30. And yeah, essentially how I post is I find a trending sound and I just lip sync to it and I just put some really vital information over the top of it. And it seems to resonate with people, so it's working whatever it is.
And you think people are taking in the message of what you're putting across?
Yeah, no, 100%. I really do think that they are. And I think as well the biggest thing here is that it's targeting an audience that would have not necessarily been engaged with politics at all from the get-go. So at the very least, I'm getting some information out there to people that would have not necessarily have had much of an awareness at all.
So I'm really interested in what this phenomenon means more broadly. If people are getting their politics in this way, how much can they or anyone genuinely learn about a policy and the nuances of the debate that's around it from, let's say, a 30-second TikTok video where you're not even speaking to them about the policy?
I mean, look, I do believe a lot of my videos are quite well-rounded and they do get a consistent idea of what's going on from them. But more importantly, I think it starts a conversation. So regardless of whether they're getting an entire story from one video or two videos, it is triggering a thought and they're looking things up and they're asking questions for the first time potentially.
Sure, and I understand it's not your job to educate a whole generation about every nuance of every policy, but I just wonder about how often the further research you sort of described there really happens. In my mind, and I fully confess I'm not on TikTok, but in my mind, you look at this video, you move on to the next one. Do you really think people are delving into policy debates in a meaningful way here?
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like a lot of my things that I speak on, it's eye-catching, yes, and it's all those things that a TikTok has to be, but it is based in fact. And, at the end of the day, if I say a simple statistic or a simple policy, that is the policy in its entirety. If I say something like the Greens would like to get dental and mental health into Medicare, then that's something that is a statement in itself. You know what I mean? You read that and you understand that is the fact.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But then the question would be, OK, but then how much does that cost and what would you have to lose in order to do that, and what exactly is the whole fiscal outlook for the way the Greens would view the world? These are debates that you simply cannot do on TikTok. Do you think there's a problem there?
I mean, look, in a lot of cases, someone would likely comment a question just like that in my comment section of my video. And then very often I'll come back with a video responding to that comment directly and building on it from there. It's ever evolving and, I speak on this daily, so I'm covering a lot of facts in a short amount of time. And I do believe overall it is helpful.
Holly, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great night, guys.
All right, guys. Well, when you were sleeping last night, the first debate between the PM and Peter Dutton went down, OK? I drew the short office straw and, unfortunately, I had to watch it for work, so I'm reviewing it. They're shaking hands here. And I got to say, guys, it made for some of the worst TV since Koshi shaved his chest on Sunrise.
That sounds like amazing TV.
It's also the day I learnt what a man was. Anyway, I enjoyed it right here. Albo reached into his pants. He whipped out his favourite thing.
And all you need is this little thing here, Prith. You just need your Medicare card.
Wow, unbelievable. He was showing off his Medicare card. Not to be outdone, Dutton showed everyone his favourite card. Yeah, there you go. Foot Locker. It was next to his Video Easy card and a fake ID, weirdly. Now, I could only imagine what the crowd was thinking throughout the whole thing. Oh, this checks out. Oh, my man right there. Anyway, afterwards, this swinging voter saw right through Albo's Medicare card charade.
He's the Prime Minister. He's a showman. You know, that's his gig. That's what he does. You know, if I had mine sitting there, I'd pull it out. You know, but is it actually his?
It is.
You know, it is.
It's got his name on it.
It's got his name on it. That's fine.
There you go. My man was very close to saying, is that a Medicare card in your pocket or are you just happy to see me, Albo? Anyway, I look forward to the second debate. Yeah, it was a pretty boring. There wasn't a lot going on in that debate. It's quite boring.
Oh, OK. So most of it was just Robin Irwin picks. Is that
pretty much. Also, I stole all that from TikTok as well.
Of course. Yeah, circle completes itself. All right, a US senator has gone into bat for Australia over Donald Trump's 10% tariff. During a Senate hearing, Democrat Mark Warner grilled Trump's trade representative, Jamieson Greer, about why Australia was hit with tariffs.
Can you explain to me how, with a trade surplus, with this strong relationship, Australia got hit with a 10% tariff as well?
Senator, Australia has the lowest rate available under the new program.
We have a trade surplus with Australia. We have a free trade agreement. Why? They are an incredibly important national security partner. Why were they whacked with a tariff?
Now, we got excited about this. We wanted to send him some Tim Tams.
Yeah.
Sarah ate it. Anyway, so now we speak to Steve Clemons instead with more. Steve, it is touching to see a senator from a rural state in America stand up for Australia, but unusual. To what do we owe this honour?
Well, look, I mean, I think a lot of people are shocked by the size of these tariffs. That was Senator Mark Warner, who is a Democrat, but there are a lot of Republicans saying the same thing. Australia has got everything right with the United States. Why are we gut punching them? And I think that's what's going on is people are finally saying the administration makes no sense on this front.
Well, the answer, of course, they give.
And by the way, Waleed, the way, that clip is all over TikTok.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So the Trump administration's response is it's really about our ban on their beef and pork as well, which is about mad cow disease, as far as Australia is concerned. Do the Republicans, especially those supportive of the president's policy, understand this is a biosecurity issue?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any awareness in this. We haven't had a hit Australia movie, on all the great biodiversity in Australia with crocodiles and koalas. We have tariffed the penguins. There is a lot of awareness about penguins. But no, there's not a basic understanding of that. And so it kind of, it's fair game.
Yeah, I think we need to do a remake of Happy Feet with a bit more tariff-focused sort of message. Now, the US Treasury Secretary says 70 countries have come forward to negotiate a better deal. Has that been effective? Is that something that Australia should be considering?
Well, how do you get better than a free trade agreement? How do you get better than the fact that Australia, if you do it in Trump's terms, is a loser compared to the United States, which we've got a trade surplus. And I hate to put it in those terms. Australia's got it all right. We have a free trade agreement. It's an incredibly important national security and economic relationship, and it's already balanced. It's hard to get beyond that unless you begin doing things, as Waleed just said, and you begin creating other harms that might affect Australia's biodiversity program. So I don't believe giving in to a bully in this sense is the right strategy. We'll have to see what your prime minister thinks, but I think it would be a huge mistake in my view.
Now, quickly, Clemo, Elon Musk has labelled trade advisor Peter Navarro dumber than a sack of bricks. Whoa, that's about the tariff. Who wins that fight?
Well, you know, it's interesting that the president's spokesperson came out and said, oh, boys will be boys. We're just going to let them keep going at each other. That's exactly the line she used. And so we're likely to see a lot more theatrics. But I think that the frustration with these tariffs is so deep and broad beyond party lines that even Elon Musk is now pointing his cannon at the president's kind of chief tariff czar. I think it's going to be a really interesting thing. So get your popcorn.
All right, we shall. We won't import it from you, though, Steve, if that's OK. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
OK, thank you, guys.
More project on the way. Stick around. Welcome back.
Someday you will find us absolutely caught up in this epic announcement. Next week on The Project, are you the ultimate Oasis fan? Before they land in Australia for their stadium tour, we're giving you and a mate the chance to see the Gallagher brothers in London or Manchester. All you have to do is watch The Project, grab the code word and enter at 10play.com.au/win.
It's all I've ever done on this show. It's so good.
Now, it is the most famous voyage of all time, the Titanic's fatal journey across the Atlantic, continuing to fascinate us more than a century on. Now, a new documentary has used state-of-the-art technology to reveal the truth of the ship's final hours and possibly change the historical record forever.
Here, we really see the power of the simulation. Wow.
There are few modern disasters that consume us like this one. Titanic's persistent mysteries seductively calling out to maritime historians like...
Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls.
And the historians agreed. Deep-sea mapping company Magellan and documentary makers Atlantic Productions using more than 700,000 images of the shipwreck to create a detailed 3D model experts could walk around in.
This is a view I've never had before. It's like a crime scene. Having a comprehensive view of the entirety of the wreck site is key to understanding what happened here.
The 3D recreation has revealed stunning new details, including evidence that the ship's engineers sacrificed themselves to keep the lights on.
And you can see how the metal holding the hot coals is concave, it's bent inwards, which shows that the boilers were working when the ship went under.
The incredibly detailed model potentially exonerating First Officer William Murdoch, long accused of abandoning his post.
This davit is in the up position, meaning his crew is basically trying to get a lifeboat ready to be launched.
In an attempt to save as many lives as possible, Murdoch, unlike some officers, had allowed men to join the women and children aboard his lifeboats.
A far cry from Murdoch's depiction in the '97 movie, where he's shown firing on men who try to board the lifeboat. So with the documentary promising a literal deep dive into the ocean liner's secrets, will we finally be able to let go of our obsession with Titanic's doomed voyage?
I will never let go, Jack. I'll never let go.
But she did. Mike Brady is a maritime researcher and a full-time Titanic fanatic. Mike, what's floated your boat most about these revelations?
Well, it's hard to nail down one exact thing. It's been a very exciting couple of years about in the Titanic world, so to speak. The findings from these scans are going to be immense and teach us a lot about the Titanic that we don't already know.
Can I just comment on your dress, sir? If someone's going to be a fan of the Titanic, I want them to be dressed like this. Yeah. So congratulations. I do, however, have a question. This situation with First Officer Murdoch, who has been slandered Absolutely. In history and then in Hollywood. I mean, this is an outrage, I feel. How do you feel about him, and has he now been vindicated?
Yeah, I mean, Murdoch's a really interesting guy. On the night of the sinking, Smith, the captain, gave orders that could be interpreted one of two ways. It was women and children only or women and children first. And Murdoch interpreted it as women and children first before he'd put men in the lifeboats afterwards. And he died at his post. And there's evidence of that actually on the wreck. They're talking about the davit, the crane that lowered the lifeboat, is standing perfectly upright, indicating that he had cranked it all the way back in to load the next lifeboat before it sank out from underneath him, and he was essentially lost, and his body was never recovered. So even all these years later, it's great to see history essentially being rewritten.
Yeah, Hollywood really did him dirty.
Well, do we need a warning on the movie now?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Went from
Justice,
villain to hero, yeah.
What's the one mystery that you're most hoping is going to be solved by this?
The curious thing is that there's a lot of things we don't know about Titanic still, even after all this time and the amount of effort that's gone into studying it. And thanks to Magellan's scans of the wreck, which they did back in 2022, we'll probably be able to get a little peek at the actual damage area where the iceberg brushed up along Titanic's side. This is really something we don't fully understand, the exact nature of the damage to the Titanic from the berg, because the ship's buried about 4 or 5 stories deep in the silt. But there's a little window where we'll be able to get a little better glimpse at what might have happened. So that'll help us understand really why Titanic was sent to the bottom and really what happened to it. So there's still a lot of things, obviously, that are a little open-ended even after all this time.
Well, I can tell you're a real Titanic fan because you said the berg. That's cool. I'm going to start doing that. What was it that first inspired your interest in the Titanic?
Yeah, James Cameron's movie really did it.
Inaccurate movie, we can say now.
Look, he went above and beyond. They built spectacular sets of the ship that were 600-700 feet long and sank them for real, and it looked so real, and it sucked me and a lot of other people into the story. And so, yeah, seeing it for real, seeing these scans, this isn't a 3D model, it's not a set. Magellan has captured the ship as it is. It's a really remarkable thing. So to give researchers the opportunity to fly around it and actually peek inside certain areas they wouldn't otherwise be able to see from grainy underwater footage is pretty remarkable.
Good on you, Mike. Thank you.
Lovely. I know, loving it. Guys, let's go to Adelaide Airport. Today, AirAsia launched the first Adelaide to Bali flight. It's very exciting. Now, that is a replica plane that was a gift from the Balinese representative. Very nice. Now, you might think we're a very generous nation. What did we give in return? Well, we spared no expense.
Again, Your Excellency, this is made in the Adelaide Hills.
Okay.
Fantastic, nourishing hand cream, I believe.
I mean, in his defence, it was the cheapest thing at duty free. So, what are you going to do when you forget a gift?
We are off to a break. More project soon.
It seems neckties are going viral, and not the regular kind. We are talking the ones made from glossy plaited faux hair. Fashionistas and celebs are dropping thousands on designer braided versions of them, which come in different colours. Of course, TikTokers were quick to DIY and recreate the look.
It looks like they've swallowed a schoolgirl.
I don't even know what that,
It's in the process, and they're just all you can get is the plaited.
I mean, you've got one of the craziest, most advanced minds in the country, and that's what you've come up with there.
What, was that too advanced for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
get it. But I mean, I think it's hot privilege. If you can wander around looking good with a hairy tie, then you're too hot.
Yeah.
But it's actually good. I think that the fashion world is embracing some really exciting new hair trends, and there's one which I think has been inspired by tired mums. That is me. This is Prada.
So these aren't fashion disasters. This is deliberate.
No, they've done this on purpose. They would have taken hours and hours to get me just out of bed.
Just so.
I never thought
look
I'd
like
say
you've been
it.
dragged backwards through a bush.
Yeah. I never thought I'd say it, but let's go back to swallowing the schoolgirl. I like that.
Right. Our next guest is a rousing political comic with a hot tip to sway the world's climate change deniers.
Here's what you do. Stop referring to it as climate change or the climate crisis and start referring to it as climate immigration. Foreign weather is coming over here. It can't be stopped by building a wall or stopping small boats. It's in the air, turning cold, patriotic British weather into hot foreign nonsense, raining tikka masala down on the centre of London. Tidal waves of jerk spices sullying the once white cliffs of Dover. Some of it's Sharia weather.
Please welcome Nish Kumar! Hot foreign nonsense is one of my favourite phrases.
Hot foreign nonsense was actually my wrestling name. For a long, long time. Yeah.
So this was that was from 2023.
Yeah,
a special.
Yeah.
Things gotten any better?
Things are actually getting worse by the second, I think, right now.
Really?
I've just been on a tour. I'm in the middle of a tour, and I've just been in America, and
I tell you, that's an interesting place.
America. I've never heard that theory about it before.
It's one of the most interesting places, I would say.
Really?
It's been. Listen, doing political comedy for the last decade has been an exercise in denial and alcoholism.
For you or the audience?
First one and then definitely the other.
Well, you've also got a podcast, right, called Save the UK.
Yeah, at last, a male comedian has a podcast.
That's what I was going to say. You're the first one.
You're very brave.
Do you feel like that? I mean, that's a big job to undertake. Do you think of yourself as like saving, the world first, comedian second?
No, I am a stand-up comedian, a podcaster and undiagnosed IBS sufferer. That is how I identify myself in 3 phases. We're moving towards a diagnosis for the third one, but that's how I see myself.
Thank God.
Those 3 ways primarily.
Okay, wow.
So you've been having an interesting time in the States. I want to know, you're very well known as a progressive comedian. How did you go in some of the red states? Like, do you have people there, or were you terrified?
What I would say is that I don't have a broad audience wherever I am. I am sort of the Pied Piper of leftist malcontents. Like, wherever I am, I lure them out. Even in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I found a bunch of New York Times reading tofu-munching leftocrats. It's not a varied audience. Amazingly, I've managed to find them in Melbourne, the city I believe that makes them. It's been the States was incredible. It's a wild time there. The president is in many ways the modern Ronald Reagan in that he's a celebrity homophobe, visibly addled by dementia, and his assistant, his far right-hand man, Elon Musk, is a man so congenitally unpleasant. He's fighting a daily battle to be named history's worst white South African. And I actually think Elon could win. Like, there's a lot of competition for that accolade, but I think he could do it.
Have you noticed in America? So you obviously. Clearly, you're very direct in your comedy. Have you noticed that American comedians are a bit different in the way they're approaching it now?
I think everybody is being quite circumspect with how they're approaching it at the moment because, they are... I mean, in all seriousness, there is a real atmosphere of fear, and that's partly how autocrats like Trump operate. Like, that's the kind of playbook, is to kind of create an atmosphere where people feel afraid to speak out. But no, there's still loads of Americans doing stuff, and in 6 months' time, I imagine they'll all be working in a Trump-branded gulag. But at the moment, there's still people definitely still flying the flag for a certain mindset that evades the current incumbent of the White House.
Yeah. We have an election happening here in nearly a few weeks.
Thank God you got here.
Was that well timed?
It's very funny because people outside of Australia don't think you're a real country. I'm sorry to break this news to you. And I always fight that. I say they're a real country with real politics. And then I got here and Peter Dutton kicked a ball in a cameraman's face. And I was like... I am trying... Help me to help you, Australia. Help me to help you.
That's not fair. Our Prime Minister also stepped/fell off the stage. There's real news happening.
Yeah, bipartisan, mate.
Listen, I'm from the United Kingdom. We elected Boris Johnson as our Prime Minister. We avoided any right to criticise anyone else's world leader. That man, at one stage, he's so sexually incontinent that at one point his Wikipedia page listed his number of children as being 5 or 6. And after that, we let him be Prime Minister. After that happened.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so you're here for your new show. It's called Nish, Don't Kill My Vibe. Whose vibe are you killing?
I'm killing everybody's vibe. At one point, it's sort of all loosely based on the fact that during COVID, a guy saw me in the park and I was saying something about the Conservative Party, and he didn't say anything to me. But when I got home, I found out he had tweeted me and he said, "I saw Nish Kumar in the park today, and it turns out it's not a character."
Oh, so you're not like a secret Conservative voter?
No, I'm not on the phone being like, I love tax cuts and racism.
This could be your cover.
My God. Well, never thought I'd say this. Good luck with the IBS, and thanks for coming in.
That is the best way to wrap up any interview. Tickets to see Nish, Don't Kill My Vibe right around Australia are on now. All the information is on our website. In the meantime, would you please thank Nish Kumar?